I do need that Katie's phone number. Since I'm the one that, so I can go talk to her. What?
It's on the website with,
I'll ask Ryan to look it up. He can look it
Ryan
up.
can look it up.
He's all IT-ish. I can barely operate the computer, so.
What do you have those for?
I'm thankful that I'm old enough that I'm not gonna last much longer computer-wise.
Yeah, but it should be on the website under the.
4-H.
Well, it's under extension, I think. The department on our website.
How tall are they? Concrete just went crazy. Now, was kind of looking, we got an old barn that, rock, couple spots are falling off and.
Her number's not on there.
General phone number for the extension on there.
You got a number?
Walk in there and then pour that, it's,
Hours of operation. Oh. Now is she, oh, I know where that is. Is she the one that's not the tree lady, is it?
No, that's conservation.
I forgot to talk to the tree lady in time this year.
That's right, and
She might have some left over.
Yeah, now you have to hope that we won't have as many as left over as last year.
They what?
We won't have as many extras as last year.
Was there a lot last year?
Yeah, there was a lot of extra trees last year.
well, last year they had somebody going over there and stealing all their trees too, didn't they?
Well, they had some issues too.
They had what?
People trying to come over and steal trees, yeah,
Steel tree.
at the conservation district.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
it's on.
12 o'clock
2 o'clock.
or 2 o'clock.
It's
The
12
big hand is on the
It's
12.
12 o'clock somewhere.
That's right. So y'all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I left my phone in the pickup, so I don't have to worry about turning it off.
Think of all the missed calls we're gonna have now.
Well,
Don does.
Oh, Ryan, you did miss it last meeting.
your mic on.
Wanda did not have her microphone on. I just,
I did.
for the record, I just.
I did. I was bad.
well, for the record, Eric's gonna help us, rush through, our previous plan and talk about any adjustments that we wanna make and help us get it, and put in place, so. Eric, you kinda indicated that you would start going through the plan. I suppose, do we start with a vision and mission statement, or?
Yeah, we can,
Turn
and
your mic on.
Second one over.
the speaking, oh, or the, how about that?
Well, your light's on, so.
Hello?
Yep, you're good.
All right.
Do we have a review of what we did last time, or is that? or-
I was gonna say, that might be a
Okay.
great place to start is, so Don came over, a few weeks ago and, you know, mentioned something to the fact, you know, that this plan here maybe didn't quite gain the traction, you know, that, we were hoping to last year. And so what can we do, you know, what can we do to, give it, you know, maybe give it a little more, you know, give it a little more weight and a little more, I don't know if you want to put teeth in it, but, you know, what can we do to, you know, give the county a plan that sticks, you know, and does, provide, something that the commissioners can refer to on a regular basis and, you know, kind of check off whether it's goals and objectives or those kind of things. So I thought I'd bring the plan that we did last year to you today and maybe just give your impressions of, you know, what you like, what you don't like, and maybe what we should, what we should do, you know, what kind of changes do you wanna see? I've got some ideas already that, you know, I can share with you after we visit about it. But maybe just throw it back to the commission here and see what, you know, what did you like, what did you not like, what could work better in a different plan or a new plan?
Well, for me, I think we need to have the plan probably condensed, so that we're concentrating on specific, our plan has got lots of implementation and performance measures and so forth, which it's supposed to have, but you can only do so much. And I wonder if overall we didn't spread ourselves really thin. The other thing that I would say, and it's my fault as the chair of the commission, we probably should address publicly these plans at least once a month at our meeting. Provide updates and keep on track with them.
Or maybe quarterly. I think it depends on the plan, cause some of them move faster than others do.
Sure.
And so depending, yeah, but I think
I
that's
agree
a
with
good
you there.
idea.
Quarterly sounds a little bit better.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
it depends, like some of those, like the solar one, that went really quick, that maybe is a monthly one, but like the ambulance one, geez, we've been waiting like 4 months now for another update, nothing's came through, so I think it's dependent on, but would agree.
So, you know, you're mentioning a condensed version, and I'm assuming you're talking about content. Another idea is what do you think of the scope or the, you know, the timeline of the plan? We had it as, basically through the end of next year as the scope of the plan. Do you wanna keep that kind of that 3-year window, or, sounds good, or move it to 5 years, or?
5 years is a little difficult when we have a 4-year term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah,
You know, that's very true, but I think some of the issues that we face in 5 years, whether you and I or any of us are here, there's still gonna be issues, and whether those people who are here address it or not. I could see both sides, but it's still maybe not a bad idea to plan for it, knowing that we might not be here. But we're setting the conditions for the next people to be successful by doing that, so.
Well, you know, we require quarterly reports from department heads. Maybe one of the steps should be that the department head should, on a quarterly basis in their report, specifically address the strategic plan.
yeah.
I agree with that,
Yeah.
because, you know, we're not always out in each department to where we can come back here and check off what they've accomplished.
I'll explain to you my adversity to highly complex step-by-step plans. Wanda would have operated in this time frame with me in the 80s and early 90s. The company I worked for, Farm Credit, went through some extreme financial conditions. The CEO in Omaha called all of us leaders in and put out a strategic plan, and there were 28 frickin' things that we were gonna accomplish in that strategic plan. Not a chance.
Yep.
Not a chance,
5 maybe,
at the most,
yeah.
on the real strategic stuff. But I think we've got things in here, and of course, that's how you're gonna measure it and how it's gonna be implemented. But many of these things, in my opinion, are not strategic plans. It's how it's implemented. the strategic plan, for example, is technology utilization and update that I'm looking at here now. A department head should, where do we wanna be there? Do we want them to know on the back, from the back of their mind exactly what they should be doing in technology and be thinking about that, or, you know, Ryan, you've been highly active in that. I'm guessing that the majority of them, it isn't their primary
It
thought.
isn't, and that's, you look at how a lot of organizations run now with technology, it's not a department head's duty to detail manage technology. And so that is part of that planning is, even what I'm planning this year is that we are going to try to unify an IT budget for the county so that we can manage IT as a whole rather than a bunch of scattered pieces that are done in different ways.
Yeah.
It's really been piecemeal up until now, and I would agree.
Nobody wants to change, because change is difficult.
Change is difficult, and that's why it's like, it's not something you can do in 1 year. It's gonna take a couple of years of work to achieve this.
And then,
Yeah.
there's so many like IT, then the next question's where are we gonna put them? And to that point, one of the things I hate to lead into it now, but I guess I will, is we probably need to start opening up some space in the building for that, and I think one good place we could start is, I know we have a contract with the nurse's office down there that's state-run. Maybe the time is we say, we appreciate that you've been here for the state, but you need to find another place to be come January, because we are growing as a county, and we need that space. I mean, Jeff's office is a broom closet upstairs that's, this big, and then if we do have IT professionals, there is literally no place for them to go and do their work whatsoever, so.
So we just,
What you have, this is kind of how I took it last year, was the plan is based on strategies or, more topics than departments. I think maybe, John's part with the transportation might have been the closest to being like a departmental type of plan. So I'll throw out one of my ideas here, and you can discuss it if you want. Possibly, maybe do a little bit of an about shift, and maybe do kind of maybe a department type of plan, and is not necessarily say like making the treasurer's office do this, and this, but departments that might need to look to the future, and come up with an outline of what they would like to achieve. And then we could still kind of circle back to a lot of these topics, and, maybe, let's say for the highway department, we say, how do we incorporate technology in the department for the next 5 years? Or how do we incorporate, energy savings, that kind of stuff. Just something to kind of chew on a little bit.
And there's a lot of like individual ideas in some of the strategic planning sessions I've had before, where we just, we write down a lot of ideas, and then as you get them there, you realize that a lot of them could be grouped together into, something Ryan mentioned, before is Microsoft Teams, and then you talk about, technology in the treasurer's office, and then you kind of group those in like projects, and then say, okay, this is kind of an overall theme, whether it's technology or increased efficiency, which could be all departments too, and then,
one of the
Yeah.
things that I think that we probably did do that maybe is or isn't in here someplace, but that attacks what I would say is the mission statement of provide citizens with high-quality public services that create a foundation of trust, unity, safety, and collaboration. and that was when we utilized the task force, process on solar and wind energy. You know, that's the kind of strategic thinking, I guess,
Yeah.
I look at. I have major fears about safety and the trust that the citizens have to have in us. I would have zero trust in our county, our city, if a squatter, for example, I'll bring that back up again, if a squatter came in and started taking over houses, and it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So strategically, long range, that would be something that I would like to address is if that's in our mission, what are the things that we need to get implemented so we're ahead of the game on public safety?
Unfortunately, you cannot legislate for the future for some random non-law abiding citizen coming to, or not even a citizen, individual coming to Yankton County and deciding they want to squat in one of the nice houses out at one of the summer houses out at the lake.
Help me with that. Why can't you?
You can't anticipatorily legislate for something that may never happen. They have to actually come here first. Once they come here, there are laws in place to take care of that. But the changing of the squatter issue is really a peer legislator issue than a Yankton County issue, because we can't change the law. The law says,
But we can't.
you come to my house and you're not welcome, you're a trespasser. You can call the
can't.
sheriff can come and haul you away.
We can lay out procedures that will help the citizen,
Yeah.
who we're supposed to be serving. And if this happens, these are the things that are available to you, and this is how you can handle it.
You call the sheriff, it's a trespass, sheriff can remove him.
Yeah. I think to Don's point, and you're exactly right, but to Don's point, that's where we could use our state association to bring visibility to those potential issues that are coming, and maybe that's what's required is just like Florida did, is a tweak to their squatter laws, and so I could see both sides, but
The squatters is
Yeah.
one thing. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of safety issues.
yeah.
Well, what about the drug users in Yankton County that are needle junkies, and they use their needle and they just throw it in the yard, in the park, on the street? How are we going to legislate those people not to do that, since they're already prohibited by law from being a needle junkie?
It's all about enforcement.
They won't do it. How much money do you want to spend to take a DNA swab off a needle? Because that's what it comes down to.
Well, see, I'm not willing to admit that our world has totally gone to hell. And there's
Then you need to
nothing-
come to the
there's
courthouse on
nothing-
Wednesdays and Thursdays.
There's nothing that we can do as a citizen to make it better.
Well, I'm not saying you can't make it better, but I don't know how you get people who are addicted to methamphetamine to not be needle junkies. Some smoke it, some snort it, a lot of them inject it. And then, I can't remember, I think they were at Dairy Queen. Somebody who was at Dairy Queen last week sent me a picture, because they went into the bathroom, and they have those little changing table deals, even in the men's bathroom, I understand. Don't know for sure, but I've heard that. They took the little girl into the men's bathroom, and on the fold-down changing thing, there's a needle, bloody needle, and whatever the rubber bandy thing that you put around your arm so you can get high.
Yeah. These are huge issues, but we
Well,
can
to
only
make
do what we can do.
and to
you
make
know,
it worse,
to-
apparently high quality, if there is such a thing, high quality methamphetamine comes to Yankton on a daily basis, and you can buy it for $300 to $400 an ounce, which is 1/4 of what it was 3 years ago, which is crazy, which is probably why there's so many more meth users out there, is because it's ridiculously cheap.
So while we may not necessarily be able to solve those problems with the strategic plan, this kind of maybe goes back to the departmental approach so my question would be, do you think, would the sheriff's office be open to like a focus meeting and maybe go through, and are they willing to do that? And maybe lay out some goals and objectives, especially if that is going to be a hot topic or a very important issue to address in the county.
I'd be okay. I mean, it shows the citizens we're at least trying, and we take, to Don's point, public safety important. I know every one of you guys cares about, the sheriff's office and law enforcement and law and order, and that's why we support our sheriff with the budget that we do.
Well, I think, okay, Don, everything comes back to, as Don says, it's all about enforcement.
Yeah.
And the question is, we make a law here or there,
Yeah.
and then how do you enforce it? Well, it goes back to having to have the sheriff's department involved, because really they're the only enforcers we have. So it's like, okay, so that's the thing maybe, is that we have a involvement with the sheriff's office to really kind of clarify out what, that we're on the same page about what we're enforcing and how we're enforcing it.
I mean, I can put together a little bullet point deal that says, squatters, this is what we do. Call the sheriff's office. Sheriff office does 1, 2, 3, 4. But-
I think that's what I asked Rob to do for the next meeting.
Yeah.
But again, that's presupposing we're gonna get a bunch of squatters. Hopefully, they're not coming. Hopefully, they stay in the warm climates.
This is where my negatives have come in.
But it's
They
crazy.
are coming.
They are
We
coming.
will get them.
Yeah.
But I think, it really helps to be prepared, just even knowing what we have already available to us and making sure that we are doing the right things when it does happen, because we know
We
that
have
it's something.
statutes,
Yeah.
books and books of them over
Yes,
there.
and making sure that we are
Look at
aware of them.
22, that's crimes.
Then you look at other states and when I see the news of the homeowner themselves getting arrested
Yeah.
for dealing with the squatter that came in and took their home, or even an illegal immigrant that committed a felony
They
and
just
they're
catch and release.
throwing the charges away.
I can almost
So you think, we're in South
guarantee
Dakota, you wouldn't think that would happen, right?
If a squatter came into my house, I'd be in jail.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
No, you wouldn't.
'Cause I would
You
have-
have the right to defend your home.
I would have,
The right to
He would
defend
call
your home.
811.
Yeah.
But that's just
that
it.
doesn't work in all states, maybe it does in South Dakota.
It works here.
And you'd think in South Dakota, you would think, yeah, well, that'll never happen to us, or that,
Oh.
our justice system won't be like that, but who knows?
Well, presumptive parole has caused a lot of problems in our state.
Well,
Would you not
it's
say?
freed up a lot of room in the prisons. Now we're building a new prison. And then what's gonna happen?
Temporarily freed up a lot.
What's gonna happen though, once we get the new prison built, is they're gonna revoke presumptive parole, and then we're gonna have to use the prison, and they're gonna fill the prison up.
And then when it's,
So it's a strategic plan, would there be, I'm listening to what Wanda said, I'm listening to what you said, Ryan, would there be a strategic plan that we are going to be publicly advocates of state reform on laws? And
We could
and
get-
here's what we're gonna do, we're gonna contact not only our legislatures, but the ones in the area. I don't know, I'm just asking you.
I think that's not a bad idea, cause I know our couple attorney generals ago really sought to revoke a lot of the presumptive probation, cause he saw the problems it was having. And you look at juvenile justice reform, Senate Bill 73, which dumped all that on to the county. Instead of having one state solution, well, let's have 66 different solutions to juvenile detention. And I think that's caused a lot of the problems we've seen. Is somebody does meth, they're out.
I
If
don't-
they
I
get
don't-
caught, they,
I don't know that it's caused the problem, but it certainly facilitated
Well,
the problem.
Yeah, and you would
Because-
know more than all of us,
Because
Wanda.
if you come on Thursday, that's felony court day. That's when judge does arraignments at 8:30, changes a plea at 10 o'clock, sentencing's at 1 o'clock, and sentences all afternoon. And these people know that possession of methamphetamine is a class 5 felony, punishable by a maximum of 5 years in the prison, a $10,000 fine, or a combination of both. You get presumptive probation. Bad John. John gets on probation. He's on probation for 6 months. He relapses. He comes back. Probation violation. Bad John.
Yeah.
Puts him back on probation.
Yeah.
I'm picking on John because he's the chairman.
Exactly.
I was gonna agree with you.
But that's a great point. If he gets caught in the next 6 months,
Yeah,
that's a big if.
but the problem
Yeah.
is, you know, you have a bunch of them that get caught. You also have a whole ton of them that
Yeah,
don't get
yeah,
caught.
exact-
The ones that
exactly.
get caught are, you know, they get high and they decide they're gonna go to the frying pan and have breakfast, or they're gonna come from a casino and they're driving. And the only people that are out between midnight and 4 in the morning are policemen and people that should not be out. And so they're out driving around, and the policeman sees them driving down the road, and they don't have their headlights on, or one headlight's broken, or one tail light's broken, or they don't use their blinker when they change lanes, or they turn from the stop sign, not into the closest lane, but into the far. All they need, law enforcement needs, is a reason to come into contact with you. And then once they come into contact with you, John looks kind of shifty and his eyes are blurry, so we're gonna search his car. So then they search his car, and then it just snowballs from there. Now, if they just use and stay home, we wouldn't have as much of a problem, but they don't.
So another area where I would suggest that if we would go into that area of trying to make an impact on those above us, on things that need to change, is the budgeting process that the state uses. My guesstimate is out of the, whatever there is, 80 or 70 legislature, I'll bet you only 10% of them realize how little the counties get.
Less than that, way less than that,
How little the county's what?
Yet.
yeah.
Oh, money-wise?
They don't understand the responsibilities and the lack of fun. I mean, I was at several meetings where they said, well, why can't each of the counties just cough up an extra 250,000 and pay for this?
Tighten their belt
And,
figure
and
out
we're
a
in
way
a
to
lot
save
better
that money.
shape than other, maybe what we do then, I'm going to strategic planning next week for the state association, is I can bring up that we relook some of this criminal justice reform and some of the juvenile justice reform bill, and we could maybe put that into a resolution at the state convention, and then that's visibility, because if we're dealing with it, every other county in the state is dealing with it, and a united front is what it's gonna take to do that. And we still might not get anywhere that way either, but.
I think if the sheriff's office were open to, you know, at least laying out some ideas and strategies, I think if it does nothing else, this plan could at least communicate to the public that you as a commission ask the question, what can we do about this? And who knows we don't know what it's gonna be yet, but it would also arm you politically that, yeah, if you get ramrodded in here in a meeting and, you know, someone asks you, well, why aren't you doing anything about it? You at least got that in your pocket that, well, we've got this in our strategic plan, this is how we're looking at it.
And juvenile, I know juvenile for sure, but then presumptive probation, when they initially passed that was gonna come with counseling at the local level, funded at least partially by the state, and then juvenile detention. That, you know, those same services were gonna be applied, but that money dried up long ago, and now it's solely on our shoulders. But it wasn't initially to do nothing. There was counseling and training to get these people back into society, but that's never happened.
Well, they're back in society. They've
Well-
never left.
Well,
But a lot
but
of them,
with treatment,
they go to treatment. They go
Well-
up to Lewis and Clark. They go to treatment, but
you know,
30 days, nice thing about treatment, as I understand, is the food is better and you can smoke up there. Whereas you can't smoke in the jail and the food, they say, is not very good. But given it's supposed to be a form of punishment, I'm not too concerned about the fact that they don't like the food.
I will bring those two items up next week, to see if there's any traction at the state level.
So I came off into this as to kind of change the direction from saying we need so many miles of new roads to think about the major things that we can do to impact how our society is moving forward. And yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Good conversation.
And I think it'd be a good idea to talk to Preston, to have him come up with some kind of a plan also to make sure that if they see this happening out there, or if someone sees it and they actually call it in, that there's action that's getting taken place. Not just, well, they're not doing it now, I didn't see it, or something like that. Somebody obviously seen it, called them, and now let's act on that phone call or whatever. Not saying that they don't,
Yeah.
but let's make it public that they are.
Well, I think part of our culture is that we've generated into a position where many of us think nothing will happen anyway.
Yep.
So why go ahead and do it? And we gotta change that.
Well, I think first off, like a one-time thing is like, okay, do we really know what is our statistical problem? That's something to ask our sheriff, is what is statistically happening out there? What are we seeing happen more of? What's maybe less of? What do we anticipate? We anticipate problems with squatters. Do we anticipate problems with trespassing and stuff like that? Just from what we see around the rest of the country, how do we start to create, prepare for that? And I'm like, okay, well, and this goes back to one of the things I think on our IT side is, our websites need to serve the people better. And I'm on our county sheriff's site, and he has a lot of information about a lot of different things, but maybe yet another thing to add in there is just informational sheets. Okay, you have a squatter problem. Here's what you can do under our laws and the state laws, and then if we do see, when we review and make these things, we see things that we can do, then it's time to act.
So, and we gotta figure out how to communicate it to people.
And that's part of it, is
Last
that's
night-
online then, and so that people can look this up. and
Last
have it
evening at
condensed
our
form.
wind energy task force, there's a lady got up and said, and she lives up by Mayfield Store, right in the middle of that 40-some towers that's going up, and she claims she ran a bar, didn't she have something to do with the Mayfield Store or bar?
Pearson Corner.
Mhm, Pearson's
She
Corner,
owns
yep.
Pearson Corner.
Okay, so she got up and said, look, Connie, we never heard that this was going on. We've been broadcasting this, it's been in the paper, it's, what in the world do you have to do? But apparently we have to, because she said,
Nobody cares until it affects
Yeah.
them.
yeah.
And nobody seems to go
Yeah.
out and
No,
pay any attention.
But she said she found out about it 2 weeks ago, isn't that what she said?
About 2 weeks ago,
And this meeting, the task force meeting got on for 10.
you can't get it
And they're advertised.
to everybody. I
But
mean,
then a
it's-
lot of people don't read the newspaper anymore. They read it
Well, then they shouldn't come in
online.
and complain that they only had 2 weeks' notice.
I get it. I get it.
I understand. I had to bite my lips.
Well, and what Ryan is saying is kind of a good segue into another suggestion I was gonna have with, if we were to kind of redo this a little bit, is whether we do it like a departmental type of approach, or if we take an issue approach to strategic planning, is I would like to advocate that we maybe put some research into each section of the plan, put some sauce in there, like when we come up with our ideas or goals and objectives for those things, you wanna know, like, well, okay, where's the sauce behind that? And that might be, if it's a squatter issue, do we have data or statistics to back that up? or maybe it's, through the research, we come up with an entirely new set of strategies.
Yep.
But that would be, so in a way, it might, it's gonna maybe, it could add more stuff to the strategy or the strategic plan, but maybe in the end, it'll still achieve your idea of maybe making it more streamlined, cause maybe we won't need to do as many, goals or strategies within each section. Does that make sense? It'll be more, I guess it'll make it more of a targeted approach.
So I think you said issue or department. And I think the things that we've been talking about the last 10 minutes have been issues, not
Okay.
departments.
And that's-
So then possibly, instead of having a department report every quarter, you're gonna say, okay, what's been going on in your area on this issue?
That's good, yeah, that'd be a good way to do it.
Issues that need attention. And
And
they,
then as long as the department heads, know, like say when we adopt the new version, as long as they know like what their duties are to this plan, that if it's the auditor, they're gonna be charged with, coming up with a report on the budgeting process, every quarter, just so that they know that, or the highway department, how were you, how'd you address public safety in the last quarter, that kind of thing. Yeah.
did you want us to like update on the ones we had? I know I had the ambulance one and, I don't.
So
know
a
if
couple of
that's-
those, yeah, we know those are, you might say we check those boxes, right?
Yeah.
So we probably can, I would say, if you want to stick to the topic approach,
True.
yeah, there's already a couple of them there that probably don't need a whole lot of new work to it.
So I've worked, we do, in engineering, we do planning every 3 weeks. We are under an agile development form, and you have stories, you have your stories, and then you have your projects, and then you have your tasks. Your stories are your big overarching topics. You got your projects, which then identify one thing that you're gonna work on, and then you have your tasks. Your tasks are coming in and out fast and quickly. They can be small, quick, detailed. They can be done within a week, or, they could be just planned out and they could be hanging out there for when you get to them. And so the tasks are the very mobile things, and I think that's part of the planning is any good plan needs to be able to change on the fly a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep, so I think, and that actually could, I could almost interchange, objectives for stories and, I'm sorry, goals for stories, objectives for projects, and policies for tasks. Slash tasks, actually, that's a good, that's a good way to look at it. So, let's kind of maybe circle back to the departmental versus issue approach, and if Don's kind of leaning, towards issue-wise, if the commission agrees, on page 2 of the plan was kind of just a summary of that's a layout of all the issues that you looked at the last time. And I would say, Dan, don't you think when we could cross out ambulance service and replace that with a different issue?
No, I think what we're at right now is that, study is gonna be probably coming back to us pretty soon, but we are gonna have to have a very serious, frank, difficult choice on what we're gonna do, depending on what their recommendation is, that we could do nothing, we could follow that recommendation or do something else, but no matter, what we do, there's gonna be an impact, and it depends on what, I guess we don't wanna decide till we get the recommendation back from that board, but, say it wants to go and for us to do something different, well, we could have a bunch more tasks or we could be done. And so it's not, I guess it's not done until we decide what we're gonna do with that report. That report may
don't-
be done, we're gonna take action or not take action, and then if
So
we don't take action, though.
You'd advocate right now that we don't let that go yet.
No, I think we're at the,
Halfway
we're
point.
we're kinda almost got to the start
We're on a-
point.
we're on a
Yeah, I
te-
think
we're
we're
on
still
a
in the
teeter
research
totter.
phase.
Yeah,
Yes.
Both ends are up
Yeah.
in the air.
Oh,
I agree,
and
that
so-
one is something that definitely has to stay
But
on.
like-
It's like,
like
we
for
have to get to the end of
example-
that research to really know where our
Yeah.
next step is.
And then
Gotcha.
but we, we're gonna have difficult decision that will impact people, and we're in a really weird and tough place where we're really the biggest county in the state who this is on our shoulders, and it's so,
But to get to your point, I think solar energy you could cross off.
yeah,
Yep.
yep. Good job on that, you guys, too.
Ryan, you're probably not ready to,
Get rid of IT.
Get rid of
Oh, no,
IT
I think
utilization.
that one's gonna be something that we are gonna be
Go on and
evolving
on
for the
and
next,
on, yeah.
next
Yeah.
couple of years.
So,
the affordable workforce housing, I guess it's, yeah, we hear it's an issue from everybody, in the town. But in my opinion, we want to be helpful to the process, but as a strategic goal, I don't see that it is.
Well, it may be to the people, but do you as a commission have the power to do anything about it?
Yeah.
We do not.
Yeah.
well, I mean, depending on what that would be, I mean, certainly, I think it's worth having a conversation on, where future development is gonna happen in the county, because the lake area is almost, out of lots, so, well, then what happens? Is there no more?
We just got
Places.
another 40 around our house.
Well, yeah, but, yeah, I'd
they'll
like
go
to keep,
fast.
I'd like to keep it on there as a conversation piece, and, what we do with that, maybe we need to at least look into, maybe there's nothing we can do.
Well,
but-
what about
Yeah.
this? Okay, so it would still be kinda under the house of housing,
Yeah,
but what if you reskin that topic to say, it's, maybe you take the next year or so to basically kinda do plan review, meaning,
it's probably a good idea.
check, what is your comprehensive plan doing? What about subdivisions, or what about our, I don't know, Gary, maybe you kinda know see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Is like,
And we already are seeing some movement. Some of the rezones we did are now getting to the development stage and things, so we are adding lots to that area out there on a fairly regular basis now, so.
yeah,
But I agree that, yeah, we gotta think about long-term. Once that area is kind of built out, yeah, then,
Yeah.
what are our needs gonna be down the line
Yeah.
for a sewer system or
yeah.
So,
this kind of thing.
I would just like,
Yeah.
maybe make a suggestion of just completely changing that topic, instead of calling it affordable housing or workforce, which seems to be a little bit more too focused, and maybe something we can't do on, is just calling it generally economic development as a story, and then we
Yeah.
plan around that. That could involve planning and zoning, that could
Right.
involve workforce development, housing.
That's almost too broad, though.
It's a very broad
because-
story, but it's a very
yeah.
broad story, but but we then create the projects underneath it that are
Or
relevant
but
to
what
it.
about long-term, like planning or something, or long-term development?
Yeah.
Cause I mean,
Development
economic
planning.
development can be, you could throw anything in there, and maybe long-term planning for the county, that's still pretty broad, but.
Yeah, it is,
It's
it is,
kind of
but you're,
planning for
but
the
we're talking
future.
literally about the
You know,
actual physical developments in the
Yeah.
county.
I,
And in essence, it also encompassed the solar, the wind,
Yeah,
pipelines.
that's a-
but I, like, the housing issue and what's gone on, between Yankton and the dam. I mean, 90% of the people in Yankton would say that's a disaster.
Well, the problem is with zoning, once the property was chosen lakeside commercial or whatever it was chosen, whoever decided what things could go in lakeside commercial was perhaps I don't know what the right non-abrasive word
Non-conforming.
is here, but they weren't thinking because they didn't take out trailer parks, camper resorts, and storage units.
Yeah,
It
it's-
should have been
there
something,
was a-
something attractive on the way to the lake, which it is not.
Which, like, for example, what?
But once,
But
but
the
because we
reason-
have zoning, once they
Yeah.
check the box, A, B, and C, there is no choice but to give them the right, the permit to build that.
I agree with what you're saying. I don't disagree, but part of it is there is no, that's probably one of, if not the largest developed area in the state with no sanitary district. So what can go out there? We've had people coming and wanting to do, grocery stores and hotels and car
Who
washes.
has come out there and wanted to
There's
do a
been-
hotel?
There's been people who, and there's been talk of that, but it can't be done. And the reason it can't be done is because without a sanitary district,
We
you'd
have beat
have
the
to have-
sanitary district to
But-
death.
But, okay, but the consequences of that is you have storage units and trailer parks. So it's
twen-
one
we're
of the,
20
you can't have it both ways. You can't want
We
better
are-
development, but the
We
infrastructure
are
doesn't
20 years
exist to do
too
that.
late to worry about that. And $50 million too late. We've had 2 sanitary sewer district studies. Nobody wants them. Let's move on.
The reality of that, though, is there comes a point where the state mandates it, which they have done, at least in a couple instances with the state. And that could be something that happens every time. I mean, every once in a while, we get a DANR letter that's very angry with us and might even send us another angry letter. And so that could maybe be something that we discuss too, because it could happen, that the state just mandates that, you know.
Well, and it could happen that the world will explode as a result of a nuclear bomb and none of us will have to worry about it.
that-
Well, one of the activities that could be done under this, reframed topic is, we talk about plan review, like, maybe not only the plans that are in-house with Gary's office, but what about how about the Corps, what are they doing with the lake?
Yeah.
And really you could look at it as, just basically just reviewing those plans and say, how does this impact economic development or housing in
Yeah.
Yankton County? Or what's the, I don't know, game fish and parks, what's their plan, and even knowing if there's more trails going in, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So really, or what's I guess the big plan they love to look at is the Corps' management plan. That's a doozy, But, I mean, that's something like, I did a plan for, it was a long-range plan for Wagner. And that's exactly what I did. I went and looked at every like plan or study that was done in that area, and how does that impact, development in Wagner.
Well, and they talked about, things like dredging the river and stuff, and how would that involve the economic development to the area and things like that. So, yeah, a lot of different ways to look at those kind of things.
Yep. And that might be, and maybe the best thing that comes out of that subject or topic area may be to, look at more things, do more planning, and that, like if Wanda's saying that forget sewer districts, it's probably gonna show, you need to look at that, but,
Yeah.
and, you'll just have to go back through it again.
And that goes into, so we can't do a sewer district down there. It's price prohibitive. So that means that turns into, okay, now we have to plan for not having a sewer district down there. What development should be allowed?
Yep.
And that's gonna be campgrounds and storage
No,
units.
and you can still have houses, but you
Yeah.
have, now you really need to make sure that your housing lots are large enough to
Yeah.
accommodate
20,000
a proper.
square foot as a minimum
Right.
per state law. But what I.
20,000 is the minimum for state law, but, you look at you look at the grounds down there and you look at the soil types down there, it's like, it
Yeah.
probably should be larger than 20,000 square feet for that area.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just saying,
So-
with that, it comes a lot more. You could have a lot smaller lots if you did that. And therefore, the lots would be more affordable because they are smaller, and your footprint would be smaller. And I realize it's probably not gonna go anywhere, but those are the things that
So
we
then,
need to think
and
about,
then,
though.
and then you say,
Yeah,
well, you
yeah.
realize,
Well,
Is it possible that we could put,
I
put
believe in-
houses up?
in the floodway, though, it
Put
requires,
them on piles and stuff.
and well, then it's cost prohibitive
Well-
to do that. I mean, and somebody is gonna build a house on a pile on the coast because they're on the beach. Somebody's not gonna do that
This
a
is
mile east of town.
100-year floodplain.
Well, but there's an additional cost with that if you're in the floodway, I don't think you're even allowed to build. If you're in the 100-year floodplain, is it
You have to
an
do
engineer's,
certification.
by an engineer, which
Which
adds
is how
additional
much?
cost
Best
to
guess,
it.
just a guess.
We've been getting some reports that people are talking about $100,000 to
Yeah.
do a study.
Oh, my gosh.
So, I mean, if we look at it that way, a lot of the east side of the county is
It's
gone
gone.
for future development.
Then we have to build
South
towards
doesn't
Tabor.
exist, west maybe, but, the other option is north. And I think we, planning strategically, should concentrate the population as close to Yankton as we can.
We have two areas going in out where I live. One, I think is it 30 or 40 houses?
Yeah, the
30, I
first
think.
one's 20, and then the next one could be 20, and we've got one that's 5 coming up.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of development way west in that forest acres that we're gonna have another
Well,
20.
the pri-
Dumont
The
Holdings?
price I hear on those 30 or 20 or whatever it is $80,000 a lot.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. Some are 100. Yeah, we've been hearing all kinds of different prices, but.
So I think just in the last 10 minutes, you've just proven that as a county, you can do something about affordable
Yeah.
housing. It just may not necessarily be, directly involved in the building or zoning of, or, at least studying the developability
Yeah.
of
Affordable
areas.
to whom?
And it really
The thing
depends.
is, you're paying 80,000 for a lot, you're gonna pay 400,000 for the house. So that's really not affordable for what the housing that we need in this
Yeah.
area.
And it's about supply and demand too, is because, sure, we've rezoned a couple, but I mean, 30 open lots available. The more lots you have, the lower the price is. The fewer lots, that's gonna drive them up. And I think we should address at least the things that we can do to make it practical for the person. Because somebody starting at Aztec, he welds and his wife's a teacher, you can't afford a house like that. And those are the people we need to be coming to our community, the younger people, that maybe they graduated here and they see their future in Yankton instead of moving away.
well, I think too, you said everything has to become close to Yankton, but, Mission Hill, Utica, they're not far away.
No.
You can drive. If our
No.
transportation infrastructure is good
Yeah.
between Utica, Yankton, Mission Hill, Yankton,
Yeah.
that opens those small
I
towns
agree, 100%.
open for
Bond.
more housing.
I would agree 100% with you, and actually, I had something along those lines, something we could do, create maybe some sort of development fund with the county. The reason I say that is I've seen Utica and Lesterville both had properties right next to the communities. The communities both talked about maybe purchasing that property. They didn't go for very much. I think it was under maybe $150,000. Those towns don't have any money, though. Maybe that's something the county could do to help facilitate the growth of those communities. We give Thrive 50 grand a year. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, but maybe we should have a small fund available for us as commissioners, and when those opportunities do come about, we can spend that money to help those small communities that don't have any money do that and grow. And I agree with you 100%. If we can, because small towns are great. They already have water. They already have a wastewater system. I mean, 100%, I agree with you. Gayville had a similar development that fell through because of funding. So that's 3 of our communities where we could have assisted, but we didn't have the funds in place or the mechanism in the place to do that. Is that something you guys would think at our next budget meeting? Maybe we put 50 or 75,000 in a fund for a development project or something like that? I mean,
To see what, I think this
Sure.
is something definitely I think the county should be doing, is working with these small towns.
exactly. And small towns are so tough, is they don't have the tax base to do a whole lot of those things, and the state doesn't help. And
There has been some of those projects where they've helped with an eightplex or something.
yeah,
In those communities and.
Yeah.
helped with that.
yeah, I'd agree. If we could get and sometimes it just takes a little spark to get that smaller community to grow a little bit, and then they take off. What is it? Mount Vernon up by Mitchell is a great example.
Yeah.
Viborg is a great example of where it took local leaders to, they invested some money, but now it's taken off and growing, and success gets more success and more success, and
Yeah, the Development Corporation in Mount Vernon was like our
Yeah.
top Governor's House customer for like 4 years
Yeah.
in a row.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, well, it was already a nice little town, but
Yeah.
they've created an attraction now that's like, you find it hard not to move there.
yeah,
You know,
How many years did they have to wait to get
yeah, now it's like, it's,
yeah.
3 years?
yeah,
2-3 years.
yeah. It's getting better, but yeah, when we first started working with them, it was, they were getting houses within 9 months.
Yeah.
But even the governor's house isn't really affordable for,
Yeah,
the workers
How
that we're
much do they
talking
run
about,
now?
making $25, $30 an hour.
the delivered price right now on the house is like 85,000.
Yeah, that's
Two
what I
bedroom,
was
three
thinking, then you
bedroom.
gotta do the basement,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
three
you gotta
bedroom.
buy the lot, and,
And now you're already about 200,000 into it
Yeah.
before it's all done.
Yeah.
Which is, it's just sad. I mean, when I was working with the program in the early days, you could set up one easily for 60,000.
Yeah. And that's mostly just materials and inflation have caused that.
Mm-hmm.
But, Well,
So one thing I think about is, I like this idea of maybe just kind of reframing that issue,
Okay.
and I could see maybe the thing to do would be to talk to, or like have like a working session with the planning commission, and maybe look at, what's the comp plan doing? Or what does it say? And then maybe by looking at the comp plan, they might be able to recommend some ideas on what the county can do to forward, affordable housing or development. Maybe.
yeah,
Does that sound like a good idea for you,
Yeah.
the commission here, that
yeah.
let's keep that topic, but we'll
We'll call it something
As-
else.
We'll reframe it, yeah.
As far as like a development fund for small towns, is there anybody totally against that in every aspect?
I
I mean,
think it's
it
a
would
great
be
idea
under
to-
our discretion on what we do or don't do with it, but I seen 3 missed opportunities where, 100,000 or so could have been the difference between that project.
And so we're
going
gonna
and
give
not.
$100,000 gift to a developer to
No, I wouldn't say that. but-
plot out some lots, so he can build on them, so he can make the profit on them. How does that come back to the
No,
county?
I would say, maybe if the property comes available, the county could purchase it and then work with a developer to develop it, and with the city, or the cities don't have the collateral to go out and buy these properties. And it's gonna be dependent. If that's something the city wants to do and they wanna enter into some sort of contract with the county, I'd say, yeah, maybe we look for it. If the city wants nothing to do with it, then that would be a reason for us to not do it.
I
It's just,
think any type of fund that we do, or anything like we do, we need to have it really properly framed out.
Oh, sure.
Like,
I would agree
It just
100%.
can't be we're gonna take some money and wing it around.
Yeah.
Of
That's
course,
not good. We have to have it properly framed out so that, we are seeing a return on investment in certain terms of, we're
Yeah.
seeing progress happen.
Yeah, I
And
would
the
agree.
progress that we want.
some of
Well,
the,
you'd frame it just like Yankton's got Thrive.
yeah,
I mean, that's how they get, and they're
Yeah.
successful.
yeah.
I wouldn't try to reinvent the wheel. I'd
That's-
just go
that's
down
what the
Thrive.
city-
Exactly.
the
You don't
city
wanna
and Thrive
reinvent the
do
wheel.
all the
So we also
time,
wanted to talk
yeah.
about, okay, we have District 3, do we have other organizations out there in
Yeah.
these towns? We have the
Yep.
townships. We want to have that partnership put together and.
Yep,
and-
exactly.
yeah.
And the city and Thrive do
everyone
that all the
working together.
time, and there's no reason the county and Thrive couldn't do that as well. But yeah, good point you bring up,
Yep.
yep.
One of the things that we do at District 3 is we do try to work with maybe it's a developer or a builder, and they do want to develop ground. I mean, and they do sometimes come to
Yeah.
us, and we can put them in touch with, affordable resources
Yeah.
that will hopefully be passed
Yeah.
on to, the end,
Yeah.
the end buyer or
Yeah.
renter or whatever.
And we've done a lot of similar, I mean, I know, this is probably before your guys' time, but Wanda and Don remember all those foreclosed houses that the county had on deed that had sat vacant for 20 years because the city and the county couldn't come to an agreement, and then we ended up gifting those, even though we owed probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in back taxes, but we realized it was better to just let those go and get them redeveloped, than sit on.
Do we know
owed
if any of those
taxes.
were actually redeveloped?
Well, some of them were, yeah, the ones over by, north of, that
We could have put the squatters
yard
in.
over there was. And at least they were tore down because that one over on Pearl Street started on fire and partially burned the neighbor house. And so at least they were.
Oh, yeah.
And then, in Utica, for example, that one right there, has a new house on it out there. So it's a slow process, but it's getting done.
Well, one of the things I think, we need, maybe in this process, we need to encourage the people that have been working and have their equity built up in their house to think about the advantages of moving up, and then somebody that can live in $100,000 or $90,000 house, can move in.
Yeah.
We built those apartments on West City Limits Road that were built, I think, Gary, they were mainly taken by people who then had a house to sell in town.
Yep.
And I think the two apartment buildings that are going up that Thrive's working on, are more aimed at being more affordable.
Yep, they're workforce housing.
Yep.
I was just gonna ask you, if we're done, if we're done with that, maybe the housing, obviously housing is gonna be an important issue, so we'll look at that. Does anybody have a problem if I
tell you that I'd like to see something in there about, how we handle, tent farms in town.
Well, we would just really deal with outside the municipalities
Well, and
for our authority.
I wouldn't want a bunch of these are not squatters, but, these
Yeah.
lazy ass people that don't do nothing.
Yeah.
That put a tent up and crap in the street and,
Tents, are they allowed in, there anything, covering tent, nothing?
I think the city has
The
ordinances for
city
that.
does, yeah, yeah.
I'd like to see the
Something
housing,
like
aimed at, protecting our citizens, against that.
Yeah. Outside the municipalities? Is that
You
what
mean outside of the,
Yeah,
No, I mean.
City of
the whole-
Yankton.
The whole county.
yeah. Well, we wouldn't have the
well, the
authority
city
to
of
do it, yeah,
Yankton
and-
protects the city of Yankton.
and that-
And tent houses and people living in cars.
Outside, I think it'd be
Outside the
too
city
far of a
limits,
walk
we've
for
got people
Walmart
who live
to
in
do that.
mobile homes or campers, hundreds of
And of
those.
course, all this, everything that you're talking about goes right back to Gary in how you enforce it. And
Yeah, exactly.
So
Well,
now,
you
how
know-
many people do we hire to enforce it?
that's exactly, it goes back
How many people are living
to,
out there in trailers?
yeah,
I mean-
well, I know there's one that's been living there for 3 years, unchecked. You
But
know,
We need
so-
to, if we're gonna do all these things, we have to enforce them and we have to follow through.
Or
Yeah.
if we have people living in campers or not mobile homes, but campers, RVs all year round, perhaps they should pay an additional assessment of some kind.
So,
Because as I understand it, he who owns the campground is taxed X number of dollars because of the land. But then he gets in all of his campers, gets a fee, and then these people just live there, you know, for whatever it costs for their utilities per month. Which seems to me like it's affordable housing.
And we are actually, Rob and I, are actually working on figuring that process out for taxation assessment.
Because something's gotta be different. I mean,
well,
it'd be
we
great
also have
if,
the problems, like, you know, we have these campgrounds, but they're on zoning properties that require a residential CUP. As a residence would be a CUP, but they have no CUP for a residence, but they still have people living there.
Mm-hmm.
Goes back to an enforcement. We have a zoning violation that hasn't been enforced. So then how do we enforce that?
That's easy to say, but a lot of times there's no conditions put on those things either.
Why would you need a
so-
condition if it's already in the laws that says that for a residence, they need a CUP?
I know
And they
what
have no
you're saying.
CUP for a residence, so they're already in violation.
When did that come into effect?
what's that?
The conditional use?
Are you talking like on lakeside commercial or?
On lakeside commercial,
Okay,
yeah.
so you're saying a campground on lakeside commercial, somebody's using it as a residence?
Yeah.
and they-
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
but they probably would have gotten a CUP for a campground, and most of them were before my time, just gonna say. And I think what Gary's saying is the CUP came before, and there was no conditions placed, and they approved the conditional use for a campground with no conditions on it, so now you have a campground approved.
But there's a difference between
Yeah.
camping and living.
Yeah.
There is a very big difference
Yeah,
between living there
I
for
agree.
3 years
I agree.
straight
I agree with you.
versus camping for a weekend. So you
Or a
can,
week at a time.
yeah.
You probably got some wild horses that are already out of the barn on that one.
There's been subdivisions even though that have had campers on the lot for 15 years or something and have never built a house.
Yeah.
How's that different?
Again, it is, you know, okay, so if you are a residential lot, that's a little bit different, because you don't have to have a CUP for a residence.
Well, if you can't, if you,
But like, you know, if your zone already requires a CUP for a residence, aren't you already in
yeah,
violation?
if it's required, if it was required to have a house on it.
There is no
Same
requirement.
thing.
If you look at the residential zone, there is no requirement for a house, so that goes back to, you know, the problems with the tent cities. If you have a residential lot, what's stopping you from just putting up a tent and living there? Or someone else jumping on a residential lot and putting up a tent and squatting?
Say the
Yeah.
cold winter and the wind we're gonna have here in a couple. I get what you're saying, and,
You know.
and if those become a problem, maybe that's the time to look at it, but I
Well,
understand where
the
you're coming
ordinance
from.
does say that you can't have a camper on a residential lot for more than 14 days, or they have to get a special permit to buy it for the first year until the house is constructed.
Mhm.
And these have been there 15, 20 years, some of them.
So we have the more violations that have not been handled.
Is that a camper or a camper that's being used as a residence?
Yeah.
Same difference.
No, but I'm saying, cause some people have a camper parked at their as a resident storage, and I'm just saying.
Well, then it wouldn't be hooked up to utilities, would it?
Well, if you, maybe,
If I'm just storing my stuff
I've got
there?
something in the refrigerator.
Just think of Cousin Eddie and
Yeah, there you go.
Christmas vacation. They were parked there for over a
You
month.
see little piles underneath.
Does anybody have a problem if I change, I think we talked about just removing solar energy as an issue, and let's slip in like public safety as a general topic, kinda going back to what you were talking about in
I
the
think
beginning of the
that's-
meeting.
I think
I think
that's a good idea.
So it sounds like it's gonna be a pretty big topic.
And I think, we're closing in on, reaching the same position on solar, on wind farms as we are in solar. I mean, it's that degree of completeness.
Yeah.
The area that maybe needs some mention is probably pipelines.
And as it stands now, the county really has not much ability to regulate them. I mean, that's gonna depend on what happens if 201 gets referred and, you know, it's something we can have on our scope, but the state's made it pretty clear counties to stay out of that. You know, we can address it, but I don't know, Gary, what do you recommend, Juan? I mean, you guys have read it. Is that even I don't think we have an ability to regulate pipelines at this point, do we?
I think it'd be kind of tough just with the referral. I don't know what else
Yeah.
is gonna happen there yet, but I think you'd have to wait till at least fall.
Yeah, I would wait after November and we'll see what the vote is, and if it's still there, then maybe we look at something. If it gets repealed, that's even more uncertainty then. Then we'll have to wait till, see what John does for us up in Pierre. on that, so.
What about, so regardless of the status right now, and if you wanted to press forward with an idea about it, what would you think about maybe renaming the transportation issue as maybe just general infrastructure?
Yeah,
So it's, you know, rural water, it's highways, it's roads, it's pipelines.
Power
Well,
lines,
Yeah,
Power
it's got-
lines.
power lines.
It's
you know,
kinda
that's a great, I'm glad you bring up,
broad.
yeah, like water and all of that. Yeah, that's a something that we should probably at some point try to, maybe get a better handle too on is the system of the rural, BY water, especially because are they not supposed to by law provide us with some maps? And from what I understand, they never have, because we should know where the main stems for BY water are, you know, just for our own planning and when we grant conditional use permits where we're not, you know, planning for something that would, you know, come across. I think those tiny homes, out west, there's an example where a lot of those were built on one of the main lines that we never know, but we don't wanna do that, you know, so.
Right.
There's been a few cases where BY didn't know where their lines were
Well,
either.
yeah, maybe that's why we haven't got.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's
I've
probably
more
why
than
they don't
once
have maps.
directed them to where the line
Oh,
was.
my goodness. What, was there a consultant fee on those? But yeah, I like that approach, is more of infrastructure to include, you know, roads, bridges, of course, but then other things, so that is a good recommendation,
Okay.
in my opinion.
And we're keeping ambulance service and IT utilization as topics.
For,
Cal-
for,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, for infrastructure, a point that I wanted to add that I think we need to work on, and this has been brought up, is I think we need to develop a policy for our hard surfacing of our roads. And this is none of our fault, because we weren't there, but you know, it seems like some roads get surface, some do not, and there's really no rhyme or reason, and I know we didn't have a lot of input on that, but
I thought they got surfaced depending on usage.
no.
So if
that-
there's
that's
like
actually
3
not-
houses on a road, it doesn't
That's, no.
rank very high as compared to
It's
somebody.
very arbitrary
with-
now, but I agree, that's
with 20
exactly
houses on
what
it.
we should do, is we should really do traffic counts, I think.
And I told
that
Mike
we-
to get some pricing on
Yeah.
some machines for traffic.
You and I are thinking alike.
Are we
because-
still, in that A, B, and C thing? Okay.
I would like us to purchase both the traffic counter and maybe they have a combo with a speed limit sign, because I know we constantly get calls of, you know, maybe not, they want the sheriff out there all the time, but maybe if we have a speed limit sign, they're not that, we're talking what, a couple $1,000s?
Yep.
Why
Clay-
don't we just put a deputy out there once in a while and hand out some tickets?
It's
That's-
probably
that
cheaper
seems to-
in the long run to do
That
it
seems
this way.
to,
Are you talking about you're talking about a speed limit sign that displays, or are you talking about a speed tracker?
that
They
takes
have
a
one of
picture
those signs that
if you're over the
displays
speed limit.
how fast you're going, and they also do traffic count. So I'm saying kill two birds with
Yeah.
one stone. Cause this data would really help us to know the actual count numbers. Right now, we borrow that one from the state, and it'll be out there a day or two, and then it goes
You
somewhere else.
also may
and it
wanna
comes back.
consider too, there is, companies out there that have this data already, just based on cell phones,
Okay.
and so you can just buy the data that you want already.
Could you, that's a really good idea. I guess I've never considered it. Do you know who that would be?
I
by
got,
chance?
I have some
Could you let us know
contacts,
maybe?
yeah,
Okay.
I go to,
Call
I
your
go to
people.
traffic conferences, so,
But I still think a traffic counter
Yeah.
with that data, with the speed limit sign, and you're already on it, whatever, the costs. And then we have our own, and it's not always going back to the state, so, all right, sorry. We were on infrastructure, so I had to add that.
Go ahead.
What, what do you think about, so, what about, county shared responsibilities? That was a good topic last time. Does it still apply here? Like, do we update it a little bit? You could even say that's maybe like the overarching, topic of basically, county government, period. Whether it's acting as a commission or working with other commissions.
Well, at our 8-county meeting, was something we brought up, and that's maybe we could have a strategic planning, at least with a couple of the neighboring counties. There seemed like, Kurt Ulmer and then Clay County and Bonholm were really interested in trying to collaborate. And as far as I know, that hasn't really happened at the state level pretty much at all. And that would be a good step in the right direction to collaborate with the neighboring counties on,
Cause they don't have to do it.
well, the
They
day
don't-
is gonna come damn soon
They
when we're
don't
gonna have to
do it. They
survive.
can just let you go farther broke.
Well, I'm not saying we pay for neighboring counties, but I'm
No, I
saying
know you're
a
not,
piece of
but
equipment, yeah.
that's why it doesn't happen
Yeah.
up the scale, cause
Yeah. Well, the day will come, larger counties, Minnehaha and Lincoln, they got enough money, they don't need it, but these smaller counties,
When we're quoting our road oil and
Yeah.
rock and,
Yeah.
just anything, fuel for the
Yeah.
trucks and maintainers and stuff, when we're quoting it, we could just, incorporate the other counties into that
What-
quote, might save us
Yeah.
2 cents a
yeah.
gallon.
What would your thought of that be, Eric? I know Clay County is in a different planning district, but Bonholm and Hutchinson, are on the same one. Maybe we could plan a joint meeting with you and your counterpart from, what are they, District 1, or what are they?
CCOG.
CCOG?
Southeastern Council of Governments.
I think that'd be a real step in the right direction and a good idea at the state level for counties to start doing that. And we could just see what services we could, share.
would be an objective, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And maybe nothing will come of it.
There's nothing,
Yeah.
I think, again, is the number of these things that we put in place and don't do anything about them during the year is worthless. So
Yeah.
let's get 3 or 4 of them that we're gonna follow on, and the rest of them,
Yeah.
Well, and I think you displayed collaboration a little bit, in that flap application. And you heard that got funded, and then,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a dual county, process. That'll be kinda interesting. But that showed how you guys work together with Clay County on that planning.
yeah, that probably, is a unit thing, because there's no reason why Mike isn't working if there are areas that could be utilized in the transportation. That would be his department and his own. Maybe same with the EMS, I don't know.
very well could be, yeah.
What could go to so many, other levels is, like our treasurer does basically the same function as all the other treasurers, and there's so many departments that share similarities, but we just don't cross that county border for whatever reason. I know Clay County, for example, has that digital kiosk for doing license plates, on the weekends and holidays, and
There used to be one here at Hy-Vee.
yeah,
Never worked.
never worked. Technology's improving.
Put in your credit card. Put in your credit card. Nothing shoots out. It's better to just go and talk to the people Monday through Friday.
You're not a fan of technology, are you?
Not a fan of stuff that never works.
Yeah.
I tried it in Yankton. I tried it in Sioux Falls. I even tried it in Vermillion,
The kiosk?
the kiosk. I was so glad when they took it out. It's like talking to automated things when you call somebody and you have to talk to the automated thing and they go, please, I did not understand, like 18 times.
So, refresh me. Strategic planning is usually, in my concept, is thinking about big things that we have to move towards. We're still gonna do road repair, we're still gonna do all those other things, but the strategic plan is what we should be focusing on.
Yeah, and it can get into the, kind of taking the big ideas, which really is like basically your 6 topics here. And then strategically, you're getting into the weeds of how do you achieve those strategies, make that happen, right? And using Ryan's example of the stories, the projects, and the tasks, I mean, yeah, you've got 6 stories you want to tell. And you got projects that are lined up under all of them to help you tell those stories or help put those stories into action. I wonder, so maybe I'm now a lot more clear. I'm more clear on what you want to do as the next edition of this plan, and I might propose that maybe our office work with the commission and then maybe set up some meetings with, I'm not saying we need to go like audit all of the departments in the county, but maybe let's maybe set up some, if you think about it as a commission, maybe come up with some ideas on what departments do we want to maybe go have a like a focus type meeting with, and look at these issues, and then we can probably come back with a good plan overall. That's kind of what you guys did as commissioners the last time around.
Right.
But I think I would propose that I'd like to be involved too, that we make sure we get all the players at the table and make sure that it's something that everybody can agree on.
And always think about what makes that work. If that's gonna work, it's gotta go beyond the planning phase. It's gotta go into the implementation, the measurement, and everything. And that's where we let down last year. We put together a good plan, and structurally it's fine, but we didn't follow up on it.
Well, and that's kind of the thing where I know there's been a lot of talk, there's been some talk about somebody doing the day-to-day work for the commission. And right now, we really don't have that. We've been talking about, people avoiding silos and stuff, and, we're not gonna do it when there's 5, you don't avoid silos when there's 5 different commissioners who different information filters through. You guys get different information than I have, and, you know, the successful counties that I see, you know, Minnehaha, Lincoln, Rapid City, Lawrence County, Hughes, they all have somebody that, you know, is the day-to-day, you know, voice of the commission, and, you know, that's something I think we need to look forward to, or we're gonna keep all these silos that we have, and we won't have a unified, or somebody to move our vision forward every day. You know, it's kinda like in the Army, Don, as the battalion commander gives the tasks, but, you know, you gotta have somebody overseeing that, at the lower levels, or it doesn't get done, so.
I don't think we did that bad, Don. Yeah, you have to, this is a 3-year plan. We've crossed off solar. We've made progress on ambulance. We've made progress on IT. We've made progress in a lot of different areas. We're not done with the plan yet. I think doing a meeting like this, you know, I think originally you talked about trying to do like an update every meeting, which is good, but also doing a meeting like this where we take the whole plan and kind of really look through it a little bit more, maybe once a year, is a good idea. Just because you gotta make the little adjustments. I mean, today we've made adjustments already based on what we've already done in you know, on performance. So, you know, the task thing, you know, when we do tasks, it's gotta be specific and achievable, and you have to have an end. That's where the work gets done, is on the tasks. You have your stories and your projects that might go on forever, but your tasks is where you make your progress. So, and I think maybe that's the small thing, maybe that's the little thing that we need to work on from meeting to meeting, is having those tasks and reviewing those tasks that we're talking about. And those are the little detail things. And how do we track that? You know, well, we have that, you know, for engineering, we have a big piece of software that Microsoft provides that tracks it all for us, but that could be just something as simple as, you know, we just have a uniform spreadsheet that, you know, it's like, okay, here it is, and this is the task that we're achieving under this story and project, and this is the task we're achieving here. Maybe this one's just kind of on the back burner because we're waiting on a report and things like that. New things come up. Oh, let's add that task in. This is something that we should get done. And that's what we do on a meeting to meeting basis every month.
So maybe we don't need to go back and start over at square one, but, so what do you think about this as a commission? Is maybe, use the story project task framework, on all of these issues. You know, we had a lot of stuff, you know, each of these issues are pretty busy, you know, with a lot of stuff, right? And I pulled this from, from other places. And, no, but, and it's definitely busy, but maybe one way to simplify the whole plan is, let's just break it down into a framework of stories, projects, and tasks for each issue. That might help clear everything up. Plus, it might maybe make it easier for you to communicate the plan to the public.
Yeah, from Ryan's comment, this is what we had before you two were on the commission, when we, you remember that big
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet that we kind of tracked that way.
Yeah, it'd be something similar to this, where you can kind of keep track of new tasks, new things that need to get done. And
And I think we went over that like every 3 months or so, and then updated the colors on it, and that was helpful.
and in my case, this would be an online live document that we can always update and check on each other, but I know some of us don't like technology.
Not a lot, no. Like paper.
You can hand Ryan your piece of paper and he can update.
Well, paper doesn't just disappear.
Sometimes.
My technology
Sometimes.
does.
I find paper disappears faster than electronic copies. There's always a copy someplace.
so I'm kinda thinking out loud here, but that, we could definitely use that framework and then we could, you know, like at the bottom of each topic's gonna be a list of tasks, and we don't necessarily need to have like 40 tasks for each topic.
No.
You know, but, at the end of the plan, and this is, I've done this with like comprehensive plans before where, okay, let's summarize the things that we want to do and the tasks, then we could kinda put all the tasks together at the back of the document. And then we could put something like, you know, what year do you wanna do it, you know, that kinda thing, or who should do it. That's just something to think about, you know, like,
That's what that spreadsheet says.
let's just do, let's put that in there.
Who's gonna be involved and,
So could we populate, like if we had a spreadsheet like that, could we populate that with stuff from here?
sure.
Okay.
And all this is a good task, but the ultimate test is how we get it out to the public, to the citizens, so that they know,
Yeah. Well,
and
and
they build
There-
trust.
There's the opportunity to put it on the website,
Yes.
but that you
think-
can't make them look at it.
I know, one, yeah, website, the paper,
I know.
radio.
I think, you know, that is one of my things that, under that IT, is our website needs to be a lot better about communicating to the people, and so that is exactly something that we should have on our website.
that's cool. That's neat.
And I think you could put your story on the
I
website
can email that to you.
and then expand from there on a updated basis.
Yeah.
You know, every time you come up with a new task, you make sure that gets added, and you could probably even push that new task out over a text message because people would read that or see that coming.
Eric,
Well, that's a whole nother technology.
look at that
I
one.
know.
We might bring
I
that.
don't wanna
That
refresh it.
presupposes
Actually,
the
it's a
county
whole
has everybody's
messaging
text.
system.
Right,
We got
no, I
that
know it's
from you
something new
guys.
Or further down the road, but
I think that was from you guys
I
when
think everything
Greg
you
did
do
that.
might
I
be
think.
into
Closer
something.
than you think.
Yeah, that might
That's
be.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be good,
Oh.
but I think that would be a way to get the people to know what you need to do and what we got accomplished.
Yeah,
Well, and some of that stuff, I definitely think that's like putting that spreadsheet at the back of the plan, would be really good. And, you know, I mean, it might be like, you know, like when the city's got, you know, a library scheduled on their capital improvements plan. You know, it's always year 5 of the plan that they've got it, and then when they update the plan, it's year 5, that plan, you know. So it could, you know, there could be things on there that could stay on for quite a while.
Sure.
Whatever the priorities are, you know.
One thing for IT I wanted to bring up, and I'm sure you're working on this, is online meeting participation. I know that's kind of been an issue with, is it Dan who's calls in all the time? Who's the planning commission? Yeah, and then we have another person that wants to call in now, and I think that's gonna create a problem. And I know you're working on it.
That's something that's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's requiring new
Okay.
software, it's gonna require
Yeah.
some changes to this room, that is something that
Okay.
will.
And, cause I know that's a, issue, and then the quality of the product that we're getting out, it's hard to hear the conversation when the people are on the phone, so, do we have like a timeline on that? I know, cause I just got asked this morning about it, so that's why.
Yeah, so we are deploying Teams now. So
Okay.
I think that's the way to do it, is
Okay.
going through Teams. We actually, I'm talking to 5 Star too about how to get that all integrated into video too.
Okay,
But that's
great.
gonna require a little bit of work in this room as well, so that's,
Okay.
we're scoping out.
So like a 6 month, or do we know?
Maybe
or-
6 months,
Okay,
so depends on.
By the first of the year.
which year?
You just want a date by
What's
the
that?
first of the year.
Okay. No, I think that's something, I'm glad we're working toward that, and I didn't realize that, so I think that'll help our
That is, yeah,
experience
that
a
is
lot
one of the
better.
major goals about this meeting experience, is that we want to
Okay.
be able to not rely on trying to stick a speaker in front of a phone.
Exactly, and then the ability to have, on share, and you've said this before, share the documents up there so
Yeah.
the public can see and the people who are watching the video can see and have a good product, so, great.
And planning commission and task force, I mean, even up front, they're standing at the laptop and you can't even hear them when they're a foot away from the microphone.
Well, is there, do you just need time, or do you need us to authorize some resources for, what do you need from the rest of the commission, anything to help facilitate
Well, at
that?
this point, that's part of that, we have to redo our IT budget, because the way we've been budgeting IT has been more like how we budget for
Right.
stationary,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's
yeah. You're not wrong.
too
yeah.
antiquated.
So is that
IT is much more of a system now, and so we have to treat it as a whole
Okay.
system, and so we have, beyond that, we have, on IT, we have firewalls in this, in the county that are, really need to be updated really soon. That's a security risk. We have backups that need to be updated, and so we also have a bunch of hardware throughout the county that
Do you need
needs
more
to-
funding to
We
accomplish?
will be needing more
Okay.
funding.
Just let us,
But,
yeah, know.
You know,
what
I'll be
you need.
going to, next week, I'll be going to Pier for that digital conference. I'm hoping to pick up some contacts. Maybe even try to see if we can get maybe a grant or two or something like that to help fund, especially since some of these are security-wise updates. So,
But do you see us need to allocate some funds so that we can, will that help speed up the process?
That
If we
will.
allocate some funds now, you can give us a number or something like that, and we can just say, hey, Ryan,
Yeah.
just go
we
ahead
might
and do
be,
it.
we might be doing that. That's
Because-
what might come up in the next meeting.
Okay,
So,
that's
so
fine. That's
are you gonna, you're not gonna, do it yourself, or hire a company? I mean, you're probably too busy to install all the stuff
Oh,
yourself.
no, this is all, no, this would be
Okay.
installed by John.
Okay, good. I was
I'm not
hoping I
installing.
wasn't gonna need to bring a ladder and help you.
No,
do- Okay,
no.
okay, good.
So how about 365, where are we at with that?
They're going around and getting everyone updated now,
Okay.
so we have the licenses and we have it all sorted out, so.
Question for you on, when we renewed Beacon, there was gonna be a breakdown of property taxes on that.
That's supposed, yep, and that's
Okay.
supposed to be getting in.
Could you just check up on that? Cause I
Yeah.
think a great time was when we're doing these tax boards, just for the citizens to.
really nice to
yeah,
have
and-
them see that.
And I would like to see maybe on the next year's taxes when they go out, if we couldn't even have that breakdown maybe printed on the paper or just an additional slip of paper in there, so when they open them, they see it all goes to the county, but their actual breakdown is very, very small amount goes to the county. I think that'd be helpful for the taxpayers to see that.
Yeah, some other governmental organizations might not like that, but.
Well, it's the truth, you know, the
Yeah.
truth shall set you free. So, but yeah, I'd appreciate that if, and I don't know if we could have it for the tax
That's a good
boards or
idea to
not,
have
but-
it sent out with the, sort of like their tax
Yeah,
bill.
yeah, and then was that supposed to be, something on Beacon when you click it, there's already the breakdown on the page, or
Yeah,
okay,
It's supposed,
Okay.
yeah, I'll check in
Okay,
with
I
Michelle, she's been
appreciate
out
that.
this week.
Thank you.
But, yeah, I'll check in with that and see how that's
Alright.
progressing, because I know she was having some issues getting that
Yeah.
all started as well too,
Sure.
right before I left for vacation, so.
So where are we?
I've kinda, I've kinda got a good understanding of what you wanna do and maybe how it should come, look in the end. I'd be ready to start working on it.
Does anybody have additional stuff they wanna add?
The only thing I guess I'd bring up again, is there any interest in kind of moving toward, more of a county administration type person? And the reason I say that is I know we had the issues with the, for example, employee performance reports, and just somebody to make sure that all those details are done in a timely manner, because it's really not happening now. And again, we got, we want to not have silos, but we have 5 commissioners where everybody different reports to us, and,
Well, and I think that ties into some of our leadership
Yeah.
issues that we probably talked about a year ago. But
Sure.
we, we said how many, half the people went to that leadership training, and then has it quit,
Well,
or?
they didn't even have it the second part of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that was
Yeah.
part of the issue.
yeah.
And,
I mean, we only got like 4 or 6 people in, and then.
Got
and then
pretty
they
good
quit it right away.
Yeah.
Feedback from those that went.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think if we get this system set up of where we have our stories, projects and tasks,
yeah.
and we start keeping up on that, I think we're gonna see a lot less silos. Because we're gonna be able to keep each other all accountable
Yeah.
on our tasks.
I agree with Ryan. I don't think we need a county administrator.
Well, I guess
And
maybe
I
that's
understand.
the wrong word, but, somebody to do the day-to-day, call it what you will. but
No, I don't care what you call it.
You call, and the reason is, you just don't wanna pay more, or, cause we have all these different departments that report to a bunch of different people. There's no standardization on evaluation forms, or pay, or all of that, and we've seen the consequences for that. I mean, there's gotta be something that kind of oversees that, or at least you'd call it an intermediary then. Somebody, you do your review, it goes to somebody else, and then gets processed. Okay, I know Rhonda Snow, what's everybody else
I
think about?
think that we get this process put in place.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the tasks, and someone like that person would make sure that the tasks are all done,
Exactly.
or what needs to be
Exactly.
added to that task. And then they would bring that list, or we could look at the list at our meetings and say, hey, good job here, good job there, whatever. But I don't think that the 5 of us should be in charge of scheduling the tasks. This, something could change within the 2 weeks when we're between meetings.
But, and
And-
in the
That's
absence
why-
of an administrator, you are the ones to do that, but, I think that maybe raise a good point, or it'd be probably a good idea to at least study the issue,
Yeah,
Dan's not necessarily saying, let's hire an administrator right now, but study it,
Yeah.
or at least, get it through, or get it talked through about in the plan. And I'm wondering, maybe do we rename that rename
Yeah.
the county shared responsibility as just county operations?
well, and it's difficult for us even to communicate, is I can't email 2 of you
Well,
without
But
it
no,
being a.
we can if all of our IT is set up properly and everything's archived so that, any citizen can look at our emails, and that's what should be happening. And so it's very important that when you are discussing county business, you're doing it on your official county channels. And then we get that,
Transparency.
and they get archived, so that at any time, someone can request and see any email that we've sent or received. And I think that's a very important thing that we need to have.
But we're not there yet then?
We're
Because-
not, actually, that's
okay.
one of the
Sure,
backup things
sure.
that we have to
Yeah,
situate.
yeah. But, I mean, you guys get emails from certain people, you get ones, I get one, it'd be nice if there was, a pass-through, so we're all
Oh,
better
that could,
informed.
that we could do. Now, that we could do, we could have, and that would be a great idea, is to set up an email, and that's what we can do, an email that
But
is
just
to the
remember,
general
everybody
commission-
has access to it.
General commission, and that just forwards to every one of our own boxes. And that's a very easy thing to do, so I think
So that'd be
we
like
can,
at Commissioner at Yankton County,
Yeah.
that's what it would be?
Yankton County
Okay.
Commission at Yankton County, at our extension, and then that would and any citizen
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
can email all of us at once.
Yeah.
They send an email to that,
Isn't
that
that
then gets
kinda what
forwarded
we-
to all of
It's
us.
like what we're
What we
doing
have,
in-house
yeah.
for IT.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I just still feel there, the day-to-day things are strategic plans. We're not here every day to be pushing this, and we need somebody who's doing it, and maybe call it what you will, but I think that, to your point, needs to be studied and looked at, and maybe we say no, but that's kind of what's happening and the way things are going throughout the rest of the state, so.
To be honest, I think that's why it kind of fell flat on its face last year.
Well, I mean,
And
we all are
that
busy.
person
yeah.
would probably push us more to make sure that the strategic plans gets followed, rather than, I don't feel like doing it this week, so.
Well, the strategic plan was a piece of paper, and what we actually need is a process, and that's what we would be putting in, as a process. Something where we can keep each other accountable, because it's there all live for us to see, every meeting. What happened last year is, you know, for the most part, you know, we talked in generalities, but we didn't talk about tasks. We didn't have tasks that, you know, well, we had a few, and we did accomplish those few tasks that we had. Dan got the ambulance report moving, you know. I did get some of the things on IT, the 365 moving, and those things. We did get a whole inventory of where our IT is, and that's turning into a lot more tasks, so.
It's got a drop down arrow. You know, the only thing I'd say is like some of these things in government move so slow, the ambulance, and if we have that's visible, people are gonna say, well, why hasn't it moved? You know, I've had conversations, well, how come, you know, what's taken with the ambulance? Well, it's this company is gonna take,
Yeah.
they quoted us between 3 and 12 months to do
And
it.
so
It's
every task that you would
frustrating,
have
yeah,
on this
yeah.
list has a state. It's
Yeah.
gonna be, you know, it's
But
either
what you're saying
in
is,
waiting, not even started. Some of it might be started
Yeah.
and blocked by, you know,
Yeah.
waiting on a report.
if we
Some of it's
update
in
those
progress and actively
quarterly,
being
it'll
worked
be
on.
on the webpage, and
Yeah.
they don't have to ask you that question,
Yeah, yeah,
cause your answer is, go read the
yeah.
update.
I don't have internet. No, I'm just kidding. That's what they'd say. And then for the website, you know, I'm in favor of it, but who will administer that website?
But right
Will
now,
that be-
Alyssa administers the website. However, we need to probably get her training. We need to get some more documentation. The website has a big glaring issue. The fact that it has no security certificate tied to it is a problem.
Okay.
So we need to get that fixed. So, yeah, that's another one of those things that we need to fix and get updated.
So long-term, you see the IT department expanding,
Long-term,
It's-
or short-term, you know, where it's gonna be John working and John and his team. I'm gonna try to reassess this budget. I'm trying I don't wanna have a budget that blows up. So we're gonna have to try to figure out where the best way to budget this. I'm going off of, you know, how much we're spending on, Anderson's time and so forth. I don't see us having an IT department so much, but maybe there might be an IT
Okay.
person, might be the more feasible choice. I really don't wanna create another whole department within the county and add in a whole lot of expense. I've talked to Patty and I see the most realistically thing is having an IT person who's under the auditor's department. Because it is a position that touches on every
yeah.
part of the county, and that's a department that touches on every part of the county.
Have we maybe thought, maybe this is something John and I can bring up in city-county planning, is seeing if, you know, the city would have any interest partnering, or I know there was some interest at one point from Clay and Bonholm on, you know, sharing an IT person. I don't know if that will go anywhere or not, but.
Based on where things are going, I don't see it, like, we could probably fully utilize an IT person,
Full-time?
full-time.
person? Okay.
If we were, you know, if we were to replace Anderson completely, and we just, so.
And I
And
know
that's
when-
part of
If
those,
you get the information.
Working
yeah,
out the budget,
it's-
yeah.
It's a lot easier to make the decisions.
exactly.
And when we work with, you know, John, initially it was just a couple hours a week, and it's gone
It's not that.
massively more than that.
It's
and,
not that.
yeah, yeah.
Well, if you think you've got the basis to, go to the next step,
Yes.
what timeframe do we wanna get back together again?
Well, let's see. Well, yeah, super awesome discussion today. That was really good. And I will tell you, Don, I've got a splitting headache, so I am in no mood to do any kind of mission statements or vision statements today, or go through that. But, I don't know. What do you think? You wanna try, getting back together, in a month?
I was gonna say 30 days.
Maybe, you know, if you're okay with, maybe I can lay out some stuff, where we can avoid a lot of in-depth meetings and so forth, like with departments and things, but, maybe I could maybe lay out some ideas, that way you could take it apart as a commission and maybe get further direction from that. I don't know, what do you think?
Can you, as you do pieces of it, can you forward them to us for our review and comments?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm gonna spring it on you right at the very end. No, that's fine, absolutely. Yeah. Yep, I'll email you guys, every time I get a one iteration of the thing done, or a draft, or whatever, yeah, I'll send it out to you.
I'm looking at the calendar, we're talking about May. I'd like to see this thing wrapped up, fairly soon, before the budgeting process.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and I'm more comfortable about if we wanna do it like a tighter time frame. If we are maybe, we kinda almost came full circle with this thing today, where I think some tweaking, adding a few things, I mean, it's not impossible to get it done by the time you guys are looking at your budget for next year.
So would you prefer getting together in 2 weeks instead of 30 days? And
Well,
then,
it's all depends on his workload. He's doing all
right, no, I understand, that's what I'm just throwing it out there, that,
That'd be the 19th.
We have a meeting on the 19th.
Yep.
I tell you, honestly, I know the rest of April is tough. I'm actually in Pier next week for a training, and then our office is, we're doing these, it's basically like grants for food, like local foods and producers and aggregators and all that stuff, and those applications are due at the end of April, and I think we're gonna be inundated with those. So the chances of me getting to you in 2 weeks something,
Just say no, it's fine.
no. Okay, no.
Okay, how about, Wanda's best day is on Friday. How about, Friday the 3rd
Okay.
of May?
It works for me.
Works for me.
What time? Morning?
What time would you like?
Like
4 o'clock in the afternoon.
08, 09? 10?
Slip right over to the American Legion, or the VFW right afterwards.
You wanna go 9 or 10? Chairman brings.
Afternoon works better for me on Fridays.
Chairman brings breakfast or lunch snacks.
I was thinking 4 o'clock, and then I would bring snacks.
That's
Like
pretty
4
late.
o'clock.
That's pretty late on Friday though, cause we went, 2 hours. That gives us Gary's.
Then we can go over to the VFW for supper after.
We had
All right, 3
2
o'clock.
hours, of which half an hour was
2
not
o'clock.
productive.
2 o'clock. 1400 again.
I would, I guess I would probably, for me on my schedule, I can do it anytime. But I know those of you that still work. And
I'm open, that day, just about any time, I think.
Can we do 2 again? Then at least that's not
I
morning, but
suppose.
that's not like after hours
2 to
either.
4 on May 3rd.
Yeah, and we might be able to wrap it up before then too.
I'll send out a meeting notice for 2
Okay.
o'clock.
if you send out, your inputs where we have a chance to review them, and if everybody reviews them,
We could do it
Yeah.
in 10 minutes.
sticks to the subject,
Mhm.
we should be able to easily do it in an hour.
Yep.
Do it 2 to 3 then.
2 to 2:15.
It makes it tough to go over to Ben's like right after.
That's why I suggested 3.
No, that was good. That'll work. That should work good.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think
We get a motion to adjourn?
We can have a wrap on this.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Dan, second by Ryan. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion,
Motion carries.
motion carries.
All right. Hey, could I put a special, request into the commission that, you hold off on cashing my check to the treasurer for about 5, 6 months?